Your life is calling and it wants you back. So if you're ready to answer that call, then you're in the right place. The Ad Tax Podcast with me, Jasmine. We're having unfiltered conversations about the cost of taking your life back. Because it's time to know your worth and add tax. Hey divas, welcome back to the Ad Tax Podcast, the podcast where I remind you to know your worth and then add tax, period. I'm Jasmine. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I just got back from the gym, you guys, and I am so excited to record this episode for you today and for us to talk about this subject because I've been waiting to talk about this for a minute. And I'm glad I waited until now because I feel like I can talk about it from a much more grounded place. So today we are going into the next part of the Breaking Out of the Matrix series on this podcast. If you are unfamiliar of what that is, definitely check out part 1, the overview, and then I did release part 2 the other week. So if you want to listen to that, it's about why I'm deciding to be child-free and why I love to be child-free. So if that is something that interests you, definitely check out that episode and then come back here. Or listen to this first, whatever you want to do. It's your world. But so before we get into the subject, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Hey! And also leave a 5-star rating and drop a comment if you're listening on your other preferred podcast platform. It really helps my podcast reach a lot of other women that need to hear it and that will benefit from it. So, and also don't be shy to share this podcast if you love it, which I know you do. So go ahead and share the love, okay? And let's help this message reach a lot more women who are on the same journey that we are of reclaiming our worth, figuring out our worth, adding tax, and treating ourselves as such. So the other thing, if you are interested in animal rights, animal advocacy, and staying up to date on those types of topics, definitely check out Ad Tax Angels. I did take a bit of a hiatus, honestly, from posting in general. But I will get back to my regular posting schedule soon. But listen, when life is hitting you from all kinds of angles, you gotta take a step back sometimes and deal with the things that are outside of social media and be able to come back to a healthy place. Because listen, I don't know what's going on. The planets are planeting. I'm pretty sure Mercury is about to be in retrograde again. Like, there's a lot going on. But what matters is that I'm here. But definitely go ahead and watch that content. You have enough to binge at least. And then also, if you are on your self-concept journey and you are into affirmations, subliminals, working on your self-love and self-acceptance, definitely check out Ad Tax Affirmations. I post a lot of content on there about how to reprogram yourself for your main character era, as well as subliminals on the YouTube channel. And I also post affirmations, mantras, and also check out the Ad Tax collection. Link will be below, but that's where you can shop and download mantras, subliminals, and I have still working on a couple other things to put up there. But that's where the digital content will be available for download. So your support means so much, and I appreciate everybody that does purchase and that has loved it so far. It means so much to me, and it definitely yeah, it just feels really good to see it helping other women. So definitely check those out. And if you guys ever have any specific subliminal requests, please let me know because I want to be able to help you guys. And if there's something specific that you want made, I'm your girl. So now that we have all of that out the way, let's get into it. Today I'm going to be talking about why I left Christianity and why I'm no longer a Christian, why I left the church, all the things. One of the main points of it was that I was very depressed and very judgmental when I was a Christian. And I've only been a non-Christian for, I don't know, like the past year or so. So for the first 25 years of my life, I was a Christian, or identified as such and tried to be, and raised up to be a Christian. But yeah, I was very judgmental of myself first and foremost because when you have that pressure of you're either going to go to heaven or you're going to go to hell, and the whole concept of sin always being forced on you and always being at the forefront of your mind in almost every decision that you make, there comes a lot of guilt with that and a lot of self-judgment because I had the impression that, oh, well, God is judging me and Jesus is judging me. So I'm judging myself too because I'm like, oh, I just went and did this thing that's supposed to be a sin, and now I feel bad about myself, and now I'm judging myself, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to do better because I'm gonna go to hell and I can't do that. Like, I gotta make it to heaven. So, and it was so difficult because it also made me judgmental of other people. So seeing other people in, again, what we would call sin and judging them because I'm like, oh, well, they're not going to get into heaven, like living that kind of life. And then also judgmental in a way of like, oh, seeing some people that were so free and happy being like who they are and living their life without worrying about going to heaven or hell, and being like, oh, you think you can just live life and not have to worry about the afterlife and going to heaven or hell? You think that Jesus likes what you do? So it just made me so judgmental. And whether it was, I think a big point of contention, I guess that's the word, in the church, at least the churches that I was a part of, was people being gay and a lot of homophobia. I've seen and heard a lot of it. And then just looking at people and being like, oh, well, initially, because I think when I was younger I did. And then that was the first thing that I knew was different about like myself versus other people that I was closely associated with, was that I was quick to shed that judgment of gay people because I was like, oh, they're really cool. I don't know what the big deal is. I didn't understand what the big deal was. So the older I got, the more gay friends that I had, and became an ally because I'm like, I don't know what the big deal is. Like, they're just people. And yeah, so the older I got, the less I was kind of like, oh, so worried about going to heaven or hell, and just being like, well, hopefully I have enough time to figure it out. And that kind of started to shed away from me. But it was also just the concept of life being something that I just had to get through. And like, oh, well, I just got to get through life. And then, I guess everything will be better on the other side with Jesus and walking down the land of milk and honey in the sky or whatever. And all this talk about having a mansion in the sky and riches in the sky, and like everything you ever want and could dream of is gonna be like in heaven, and that's where you get it, but never any hope of that being here. So because I didn't have any hope of that being my reality down here for such a long time, it was like, bro, I'm over being on earth. Like, I just want to go I want to go to heaven. And that was something that there were multiple things that contributed to my depression, but that was one of the things that was a contributing factor, was like, why am I down here? Like, if everything's so great in heaven, I just want to skip to the good part. So instead of thinking that things could get better for me down here, it was just this overwhelming sense of hopelessness and despair, because it was like, oh, this can't compare to heaven apparently, so I don't want to be here. And that was definitely something that consumed me a lot. So ever since leaving Christianity, I've become a lot less judgmental and a lot more accepting of myself and other people. And another thing was that whenever I would commit a quote sin, I struggled to like forgive myself afterwards, and I felt it was always kind of like this cycle of guilt, and feeling like I failed or like I'm not good enough. And it was so hard to forgive myself, but then I would just outsource that forgiveness and be like, oh, well, I guess God forgives me, so I'm cool. But never actually learning how to have that forgiveness for myself. So I harbored so much inside of me that I didn't know how to forgive, because it was just, everything was always so focused on asking God for forgiveness and seeking forgiveness from the Lord. And it also made it hard to forgive, to ask, or yeah, to like ask other people for forgiveness for things I might have done against them, because I was like, oh, well, I already repented and like I talked to God and God is supposed to forgive me, so I'm cool. I don't really need your human forgiveness because Jesus already forgave me. Like, I'm fine. I don't need you to forgive me. And I'm sure that caused fractures in certain relationships. But yeah, I just didn't see a point in, or not a point, but it was like, oh, if somebody didn't forgive me, then big whoop. And I also struggled with even knowing if God or Jesus forgave me for certain things that I had done, because obviously they don't talk to us. So I was just like, I think they forgive me. Yeah, and just feeling like that should have been enough, but who knows. So I feel like the catalyst for me deconstructing Christianity and the church and all that was me decentering men, which will be the next part of this series. But decentering men, I was watching early on in my journey, I was watching a TikTok, and this woman was saying that like in decentering men, like you also gotta decenter religion, and a lot of people don't want to talk about that. And that was the only video that I've ever seen somebody say that, and I was like, whoa, she's so right, because Jesus is a man and God is a male deity. So I thought about it for like a week or so, and then I was like, you know what, she's right. So that's when I really started to like do my research and deconstruct Christianity, because I was like, yeah, because I really wanted to decenter men. I was so determined to really stick on that journey. And I was like, okay, well, if I gotta deconstruct religion, then that's what I gotta do too. I'm open to that. I'm open to anything. So that's what really sparked it, and realizing that, like, yeah, how am I supposed to decenter men from my life if I'm centering a man in the middle of it? Like, oh, everything I do is for Jesus. Oh, I owe my life to the Lord. Oh, I praise Jesus, praise him. Him. And that's very male-centered. Like, let's just be so for real. It's literally centering a man. So that was enough to have me like, wait, yeah, I keep, either begging for forgiveness from a man or catering to a man. And like all of that came from starting with Jesus. and doing that for him first and being like, oh, let me do whatever's going to please Jesus. And therefore it had a trickle effect into how I treated men on earth of, oh, well, again, it's just a subconscious thing of centering men, and you don't realize you're doing it until you become aware of it and then start decentering it. But that is the part that a lot of people avoid, and I get it, because it is scary at first because we're told to not question anything ever when it comes to Christianity and Jesus, and to just go with whatever is sold to us. And it was scary at first. I was like, oh my God, I just thought about every single time throughout my life somebody has said, like, don't question it. That's just what the Bible says. Jesus told me this, so it's true, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, so it was scary, but I'm glad that I did it, because now I got to this point where I feel a lot more free. And I also realized that I would get mad when people would ask me questions about Jesus or Christianity. And I, one time in college, dated an atheist. And for, I guess, like, I don't know, the first part of that relationship, I just kind of avoided talking about, like, religion, because I knew he was an atheist. He was open about it, and I was open about being Christian. But there was one night we were hanging out together, ironically drinking wine, which is supposed to be what, a sin, like getting drunk or whatever, and, you know, doing whatever else, sinning. And we were sitting at my table in my apartment, and what did he ask me? He had asked me, like, something about how do I know that, like, heaven is real, or that, like, God, Jesus is real or something. A simple question. And it, like, got me heated. I was so, like, not only upset that he had asked me that, but just, like, offended. And I was like, it's in the Bible, and the Bible says blah, 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 and you're not supposed to question God, and I will never question Jesus, and he's real because he says he's real, and he's alive because he says he's alive. And my boyfriend, or my ex, was just sitting there like, okay, I was just asking. And I shut it down so hard, and I think he was just like, oh my God, that was a lot. But yeah, I mean, again, you're just conditioned to have that reaction every time somebody asks a question, and you're just supposed to tell them, like, don't question it, God is real, the Bible says so. So that was definitely me. And in hindsight, what could you do? That was how I was raised. But I'm glad that I'm at a place now where I can have healthier conversations with people and, talk about things, ask questions, answer questions, and the things that I believe in now actually have a lot more knowledge about what I believe, why I believe it, why I practice it, and why they work for me in my lifestyle, versus just blindly saying, well, this book said it, so it's real. So yeah, shout out to that guy. Thanks for that memory. But I definitely thought that I was better than other people because I was a Christian. So I did think that I was better than him because I was a Christian, and that's not cool because nobody's better than anybody, I mean, yeah. So, yeah. The other thing was that I see Christianity now as a tool for oppression. And oppression of Black American people and oppression of women. So if we think about the history, right, and this is obviously going to be a very surface level breakdown of it, but walk with me. So Black Americans were enslaved for so many years. One of the most heinous, if not the most heinous thing, in my opinion, the most heinous thing to ever happen in human history. But Christianity played a big part in it. As a people, we were not allowed to read or write and literally treated like property. And but we were also forced to accept this religion, Christianity. And when you have control of someone's mind, you can do literally whatever. So I believe that as a collective and as a people, we were all brainwashed. And I really feel like that it's a generational brainwashing, and they did a really good job of it because they forced it on us. And there's so many Black Americans to this day that are still so indoctrinated in Christianity and the church, and that will never ever stray from it. And it's really, really sad to see, especially because that's my community, and see how it's done a number on us as a people and how much. Okay, so during enslavement, right? We were taught to accept that, to not question anything, to just take it at face value, to listen to massa, and the reward, it would be in heaven. The reward was in heaven. And if you've ever heard what they call slave hymns, the one that particularly comes to mind is "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," some taking me home or whatever. And they're talking about going to heaven. And that's not the only one, but that's the only one that I can think of. But yeah, they're talking about going to heaven, and everybody was just like, oh, well, I guess when we get to heaven, we're going to get rewarded for doing, for just being, quote, good down here and doing what we were told down here, because these white people are telling us that the reward is heaven, and that this book says it, and that God is gonna strike us down, and that as a people, we're supposed to be enslaved, and all this bullshit that isn't true. And yeah, I think it's just the biggest generational curse that the Black community has in America is still following Christianity. And as a people, I think they knew how powerful and magical Black people are just as beings. And in order for us to not see our true potential as individuals, but also as a collective, and how strong and powerful we can be as a collective, they needed a tool of oppression, and that was Christianity. But we are still to this day outsourcing our energy, our time, our money, our power, our magic to the church and to Christianity as an institution, because not enough of us have woken up to the fact that everything we need is right in here. You don't need to go, no, we are in that. And I personally believe that that is still why, as a people, we have not gotten to a point. One of the main reasons why, as a people, we have not gotten to a point of, retribution, but in the sense of being a lot more successful as a people, to where white people are no longer controlling everything in the world and still have us rungs down the ladder, because a lot of us are oh, well, what's the point in doing anything? A lot of Black people are what's the point in doing what's the point of doing anything here if, Jesus is gonna come and get me. Oh, the rapture's coming. Oh, Jesus is gonna come and get me, and everything that I ever want is gonna be in heaven. It's still that same mindset that is just keeping us stuck. And instead of being no, we can all go out and get what's ours if we all just stop outsourcing it to this church and to this religion, this organized religion. And it's also so sad because you see these pastors and preachers and deacons and whoever else making all this money, but then the congregation at large, in a lot of these churches are like struggling financially. But again, there's the whole mindset of like, oh, well, I can't take it to heaven with me, so what's the point in having a bunch of money down here? And then I think it largely contributes to the generational poverty. But it's because, again, as a people, we are stuck in this generational curse of that they put on us of Christianity. So I think in order to break free, we have to reject it, and a lot more of us have to reject it. I don't think every single person has to reject it because, you have your outliers that are just never going to think for themselves. But rejecting it and deconstructing it and either making it work to our advantage or just throwing it away completely, I think would turn the tables greatly. But, and that's why they did it, because they knew that if they could indoctrinate us as a collective and keep it going for generations, that, as white people, they would always be on top and we'd always be outsourcing our power to some fictional man in the sky. So that, and I always knew that Christianity was suspicious, because I was always very pro-Black and always did a lot of research on our history. So, and something that I've come across often is just using scriptures from the Bible as justification for acts of violence and the literal enslavement of human beings, which never made sense to me. And I was like, oh, are we just going to ignore that? So, but then for women too, just the oppression of women and saying that like men are the head of the household and a woman can't. The one thing that annoys me so much is when a woman is like, oh, talking about her man, she's like, oh, I'm his rib. What? You're his rib? No, women create life. What do you mean you're his rib? And also the fact that we are all just assuming that God is a man, when it's like, again, hello, women are we literally create life. So yeah, I think they just have that whole thing backwards, and it's just another tool for oppression for women to make us submissive and listen to men, which also keeps men in power in the world. Like, we live in a patriarchy, and Christianity and patriarchy go hand in hand. Religion and patriarchy go hand in hand. And I think, but my only experience is with Christianity, so that's what I can speak on. But yeah, at large, it's just a tool to keep us women, again, not tuned in to our innate magic and our innate power. Because if we were more as a collective, we could flip this into a matriarchy real quick. And they don't want that. They don't want Black people to be on top. They don't want women to be on top. So that's why Christianity was forced down a lot of our throats. But as a Black woman, I was like, oh, absolutely not. I'm going to tap into my own personal power. No. So there was that. And then just what I was saying earlier, the overall obsession with the afterlife and not being present in the present moment. And I think one of the greatest gifts that we can give to ourselves and one of the most important things to master in this life is being in the present moment. And that's why I'm such a big advocate for meditation and breath work and yoga and being super present and just fitness and being present in your body, because it is very important to be in the present moment. when we really break it down, like the past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist because it hasn't happened yet. All we have is right now. But again, when they siphon that and have you keep thinking about, oh, my sins, oh no, and just ruminating either on the past or being so future thinking of like, oh no, am I going to make it to heaven or am I going to go to hell or what's going on? And you're taking yourself out of being in the present moment. So you're just leaking energy by thinking about something that hasn't even happened and that's not even guaranteed. So that was another reason why I was like, this doesn't work for me anymore, because I don't want to be obsessed with just thinking about what happens after I die. Like, I'm here right now, and that's all I have in front of me is literally what's here right now. So, yeah. And then also, on top of that, the feeling that Satan was always out to get me. And that the devil and demons were like literally like feeling like they were looking around the corner, or like they were below my feet in hell. And oh no, they're like waiting for me to slip up so that they can like sneak their way into my mind and make me commit even more sin. And number one, I feel like that for a lot of people, it takes away the actual accountability of, if you did something, arbitrarily bad and not actually taking ownership for that and then just blaming it on some demons or the devil and not actually being like, no, that's my bad, pimp. Like, I messed up. That was on me. Um, and but ever since leaving Christianity, I do take a lot more accountability for my actions. I'm a lot less scared to own up to things, whether that's to myself or to others, as well as no longer living in fear. No longer living in fear of Satan or the devil and his demons chasing after me every single day. Because what they say, like, he never stops or whatever. He's always going to try to drag you into hell or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so scary. Like, but again, it's just these fear tactics that they use to keep us oppressed and to keep us scared. Because when you have people scared, it's really easy to oppress them. And I just didn't want to, it felt really good to not be scared anymore and to actually live and be like, oh, no, if something, again, bad or whatever happens or not so good, I can handle it. I can come back from it. Instead of feeling like all is lost or I'm doomed or some creature with pointy horns, again, another male figure anyways, and a little pitchfork was gonna like attack me or something. And yeah, so I live in a lot less fear now, which I think has just improved my overall quality of life when you aren't in essentially a low level flight or fight mode and always feeling like every single day is a battle that you have to try and win, a battle against good and evil every single day that is like going on inside of you or like around you that you can't see, but it's like Jesus is trying to get you to do it's literally like the angel and devil little like I'm sure you guys have seen the cartoons where they like characterize them like that on the shoulders. And yeah, and just not feeling like I had those opposing forces around me every single day, and actually being like, oh no, I can just literally chill out and enjoy life and like figure things out without always feeling like I have to be on guard. So I think it's helped my nervous system a lot more too. And just my overall mental health and quality of life, not living in fear and not being scared and being able to accept things for what they are and not feel like I'm being like monitored, literally monitored by Jesus and the devil. So, another thing was questioning leadership being considered a rebellion, and that people who challenge the system are judged and shunned. Um, because I'm definitely somebody that will question leadership in a heartbeat. But again, in the church, that's just not accepted. It's like if the message that the pastor gave, that's it. No questions. You just sit there, you listen, and then you go home. That's insane. There's no chance to ask questions. There's no follow up. Most churches, the pastor doesn't even mingle because he thinks he's too high profile and doesn't want to, be touched by the common folk. So he's scooting out the back, hopping into his little Range Rover or Bentley or whatever the fuck, and driving back to his mansion. And it's like, and then you want us to come back on like a Tuesday or something for Bible study, and that's where we can ask questions. But then when you get up and speak in the pulpit, you think that that's it and that's enough. It was never enough. Ever since I was a kid, I always had questions, and it was like there was never a chance to ask any. So yeah, don't like that. But again, they just don't want people to be able to have critical thinking. And it really does dull your critical thinking skills because you're sitting there every single week for at least an hour, not being able to ask any questions. And people will look at you sideways if you are like, what that nigga just said up there didn't make any sense. Like, that sermon didn't make a lick of sense. What is he talking about? Or sometimes I would just leave feeling like I didn't learn anything. Like, it just felt like a motivational speech, and like, I could listen to Tony Robbins for that shit. Like, why am I here? I'm supposed to be learning about this book, and y'all ain't had me turn one page. I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I'm not forgetting anything, because there's a lot of layers to this, and I'll definitely have to follow up on this in another episode. Ooh, this is actually a really good point. So, as women, our sense of self is shattered or never allowed to develop in the first place when following Christianity. And I believe that this is why a lot of Christian women experience a sense of losing themselves in relationships, which I can relate to, because the truth is that we never actually formed our sense of self. Because again, everything is like, oh, I'm made in his image. Oh, and just literally not being brought up with more confidence just in ourselves, but our confidence and our love is supposed to come again from Jesus or God. And just again, just completely giving our lives to the Lord, and just here's it all. And it does have a major trickle effect into our interpersonal relationships and romantic relationships as women, and I don't think enough people talk about that. So maybe that'll be what the next episode or a later episode is whenever I follow up on this topic. But yeah, and I know this to be true for myself, that I never really formed an actual sense of self. It was always through the lens of being a Christian and being a child of God and being Jesus's daughter. But never actually like, okay, who's Jasmine? What do I like? Like, instead of WWJD for what would Jesus do, WWJD for what would Jasmine do? Like, what do I want to do? Why do I gotta keep thinking about what he would want me to do? So yeah, but again, it just, in romantic relationships, because I didn't have that sense of self and a strong sense of self, I was so quick to just get consumed in my relationships and be kind of molded into whatever my partner wanted me to be, which was not healthy at all. But yeah, that's also why I love what I do over on Ad Tax Affirmations, because it is very much for building your sense of self up back to a healthy place and reinforcing it on a daily basis. So again, check that out if you were on a similar journey. But yeah, I'm going to end it there because I've covered all the main points that I wanted to hit. But overall, I've done my research and I've deconstructed it for the past year, and I'm still deconstructing it every day. I hear new takes or new points, and there's just so much more to learn about why Christianity is the way that it is, and how it's affected me and how it's affected us, again, as either Black people or women. And I highly encourage you to do the same. If you are somebody that has listened to this and you feel triggered in some way and you want to be quick to leave a rude comment, because, hey, listen, I understand. There ain't no hate like Christian love. No hate like Christian love. Yes. But before you leave your hate in my comments, I encourage you to research for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Research it for yourself. Deconstruct it for yourself. And if at the end of that, give yourself as much time as I did. Give yourself a year. And if by the end of that year of researching and deconstructing it, you are still like, no, I still want to be a Christian, then good for you. But if you get to the end of that year of researching and deconstructing truly, and you're like, oh, never mind, I'm not going to subscribe to this anymore, then you'll get what I'm talking about. But I truly feel like unless you've done that for yourself, it's going to be difficult to grasp what I'm saying, because, again, I've been there. I was a Christian for 25 years. Anytime I heard anything else, I was like, ooh, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody gets to the Father except through him. So if you're Muslim or you're atheist or whatever, or questioning anything, boo to you. So I get it if you want to say boo to me. But all I'm going to say is research, deconstruct for yourself, and we might come to the same conclusion. And if you haven't, think about why you are so quick to blindly follow something that you haven't really even accepted for yourself. You just accepted it because you were told to accept it. So, yeah. So I'm going to leave that there. But if it did resonate with you, I love that so much. And thank you so much for being here regardless of what your views are. Listen, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not here to judge anybody. If you're a Christian, if you're literally anything else, white, black, whatever, I'm happy to have you here listening to this podcast, because there will be something that resonates with you. And I want to encourage you to always know your worth and then add tax, whatever that looks like for you. And it could look completely different from how it looks for me. But this is your life at the end of the day. So do whatever you want to do, regardless of what I or anybody else says. Do what you want to do. And if that means being a Christian, that means being a Christian. If that means being an atheist, that means being an atheist. If that means being Muslim, that means being Muslim. And anything else. So, but let's stop judging each other so much, you know? And I'm going to end that there, because I got a yummy salmon dinner waiting for me. Gotta get my protein in. And a nice hot shower is calling my name too. So I will catch you guys in the next episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this episode, and leave a comment and a 5-star rating if you listened on your other preferred podcast platform. And as always, remember to know your worth and then add tax. Hey Diva, thanks for tuning in. If this episode resonated with you, make sure you leave 5 stars, drop a comment, and share it with someone who needs it. And I'll catch you in the next episode of the Add Tax podcast. Remember, know your worth and then add tax.